Joining us now is Okpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, OG.
Good morning, Dr. Abati.
It's starting to sound like a play or like a theatrical.
I'm not laughing. I'm not going to laugh with you guys today.
I'm smiling with you. Good morning, OG. How are you today?
Good morning. Well, good morning to you, viewers. We begin what's trending today on a rather sad note. The murder of a 20-year-old student from the University of Jos in Plateau State, Nigeria, by a soldier from the Special Task Force Operation Safe Haven have got many Nigerians on social media outraged. Rinji Bala was a 300-level student of history and international studies. He got shot dead at about 10 p.m. on Tuesday evening after he was allegedly mistaken for a robbery suspect who tried to escape detention. According to Ibrahim Shitu, the media officer for Operation Safe Haven, Rinji Bala was among 7 suspects arrested on Tuesday, but they were later released after they were found not guilty of alleged robbery. Mr. Shitu claimed that the suspects were on their way out of detention, a soldier who thought they were escaping opened fire, killing the 20-year-old in the process. Nigerians on social media have used the hashtag Justice for Rinji to demand that his murderer be brought to justice. One user just wrote, "Another day, another hashtag. How long will this continue? When will security operatives start valuing the lives of civilians? As long as they are not brought to book, such madness will continue. They know who pulled that trigger. He or she should face the law. We demand justice for Rinji." Another user, Gabriel, wrote, "Is this what our country is? The very people sworn to protect us are the ones taking our lives. He was murdered in cold blood by the Nigerian army in Jos. Rest well, Rinji. Your light will never go out. Hashtag Justice for Rinji." Finally, Amama wrote, "He was just 20 years old. Rinji Bala was shot dead yesterday in Plateau State by rogue military men who claimed that he was part of a robbery gang. He was just a boy, a life taken from us. We want justice for Rinji."
An absolutely tragic story for us to start off with. This is really, really tragic news. Firstly, may his soul rest in peace. I'm speechless, really.
I thought I should highlight
this is a clear case. This is a clear case of murder.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's absolutely unacceptable that men in uniform, whether they are police or civil defense or military, would be using the advantage of their uniform to engage in extrajudicial killing. This one is particularly very annoying because of the impunity involved. Whatever explanation that may have been offered by the media officer of the Nigerian Army Operation Safe Haven in this regard, you know, does not make sense to many people, because he said it was one of the soldiers at the gate who thought that these were escaping suspects and then opened fire. Now, how would a group of young men, 7 of them, escape from a military unit? It doesn't make sense. The explanation is not acceptable.
It's not acceptable.
He says that they visited the family, a delegation has been sent to the family, and that an apology has been offered. Well, that apology is not going to bring
his life back.
Rinji back. And that's why many Nigerians are insisting that there must be justice for Rinji. The other day, it was another young man that was gunned down in Delta State because it was said that he didn't stop at a checkpoint. Now, a 20-year-old boy, 300-level student in the university. I mean, this will be like eternal pain for his family.
Yes, I saw videos circulating online of the family members.
That whoever pulled that trigger should be brought to justice, and justice must be done. Absolutely. And Governor Lalong of Plateau State himself should take a special interest in this matter and make sure that the Nigerian Army does not sweep this under the carpet.
Very well said, Dr. Abati. May his soul rest in peace. Let's take another story. Since the easing of the lockdown in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, Lagos and Ogun states, the level of compliance to government directives on limiting the spread of COVID-19 has been a headache for the government. On Tuesday, the Lagos state government posted a survey on their official Twitter handle asking Lagosians if the state should impose another lockdown. While it appears that so far, more people are voting for a lockdown on the survey. However, let's take a few reactions from the users that were against the lockdown. One user, Queen E, wrote, Dear Governor, please, can you explain the science behind the lockdown? And if I may say, it appeared as though the first 2 lockdowns didn't have any effect because, according to your results, the cases kept increasing. So why continue something that didn't work? Another user, Tony, wrote, it's like locking down people because of malaria. Malaria has killed more than corona. Why didn't the government lock down because of malaria? The sooner people learn to live with the said virus, the faster our immunity gets. No to lockdown in any form. Finally, Atunde wrote, a lockdown is only effective to the extent that food and security is guaranteed, with test and trace capacity brought at par with means of isolation and healthcare optimization. A concise pandemic resilience plan will be necessary going forward.
Well, I think that last tweet from Tunde Arogomati kind of really said it all. To
Correct.
clarify the tweet from the person before that compared it to malaria. Sorry, malaria is not contagious.
Then that's what we need to let everybody know. I don't know what they're thinking.
And it just goes back to show that there's still a lot of sensitization to do with regards to COVID-19. The issue here is not that COVID-19 can kill you like that. The issue here is that COVID-19 is extremely contagious, and there's not enough research so far to really and truly get into the nitty-gritty of this virus. We don't know what we're dealing with. But in terms of another lockdown on the states, quite frankly, it's not something that I would stand for. I don't think it was sustainable. I don't see how the Lagos state government can possibly sustain it in terms of palliative measures, etc. And I also don't think it really, in terms of results, I don't really think in 5 weeks we saw that the lockdown had any positive effects. We saw community transmission still continued. And I mean, I guess the fear comes from what we saw last week. But like I said to Doctor earlier, this week, I think the streets of Lagos have been a lot better as well. I have to give it to Lagosians.
I think so too, but you can see that the sector of Twitter users that are voting, you know, are people that are concerned.
Privileged and have access to data.
I have questioned, when Ifeni was here,
yes.
Ifeni brought this up, and I questioned the methodology. And I said that while Twitter can offer interaction and engagement, is heavily polarized. There's a lot of misinformation on Twitter. And if you look at the sample survey, if you break it down in terms of demographics, it doesn't represent, you know, what is happening in Lagos in terms of demographics. In a population of 20 million, you have just about 60 something.
Yes, but I think it's also important
let me
that
finish.
they put it out
let
there
me finish.
because the people's voices
I don't think it's a good strategy.
Need to be heard.
No, it's unscientific and it's complicated. Yes. Now, a decision as to whether there should be a lockdown or not tells us, for example, that I think Ikeja, followed by Alimosho. I'm just giving an example. Now, if there is need for a lockdown, could the government say, for example, based on scientific data, and say, okay, maybe we'll lock down parts of it, parts
this
of
LGA,
these are the
LGA.
specific clusters. That's the kind of scientific approach that is required, not an emotional thing by some amorphous crowd on Twitter. Now, however, you recall that the governor had expressed concern that people were not following the guidelines.
Exactly.
And that the Lagos state government may be moved to impose another lockdown.
If left with no
now,
choice.
This strategy, whatever purpose it serves, is like flying the kite.
Well, I highly doubt that they're
It's
going
like
to
flying
use
the kite.
this to just make their decision. It's just part of the whole experiment.
It's
That's
like
what
flying.
I believe.
No, you can't speak for
That's
them.
what I think.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just my opinion. It's my opinion, Dr. Abati.
Yes.
It's just my opinion.
You know, maybe they are flying a kite,
Yes.
and then they will use that kite they are flying
Correct.
to justify
Absolutely.
their decision. Because you can manipulate Twitter posts. You know, politicians manipulate Twitter posts.
But it is
right.
interesting to note how many people did actually vote for another lockdown, isn't it?
Yes.
Over 50%.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Over 50%. I showed that. Well, let's take our final story in Rivers State, Nigeria, where the Ikwere local government chairman, Samuel Nwanosike, was seen in a viral video clearing out a crowd of people from a bank for failing to observe social distancing rules in the most patriotic way. Let's take a look.
Why is this like this? Huh? Nobody outside. Out! Let nobody get! Nobody outside. You must observe social distancing. Outside! No, get outside! You want to kill yourself? You don't want the virus among you. Where's the manager? Call him out. Call him for. Where's the hand sanitizer? Hey, shut up. Where's the hand sanitizer? I want to do hand sanitizer when I'm outside here. Where's the liquid soap? Where's the liquid soap? Where is the soap? You only water there. Show me the soap.
He went on to shout on the GG. Are you trying to kill my people? Are you trying? I thought it was such a really best way to stop the whole
wish we had
social
more time to discuss
madness
this.
Going on.
Oji, thank you so much for today's
Thank you, Leila. Thank you, Dr.
See you tomorrow.